Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1.
Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
Well, a hearty good morning to all of you. You guys are absolutely diehards because we are doing our best to F up the show today, and we haven't even started. And away we go. All right, welcome into a Friday edition of the JP Peterson Show. As if you can't tell already, my man Tim is, oh, look at that's even better. We got two of me on there. How about that? We'll just do one. How about that? Is that good? Will that work good? Good morning and welcome to the JP Peterson Show. Tim is out today. He's dealing with some health issues. So good morning to you, Nathan Elliott. Good morning to Rick. All of your previous comments have been erased because, well, we had some technical problems this morning. We're at our temporary studio in Orlando. As I mentioned, Tim's having a couple of health issues this morning. Nothing serious, we hope. But he will be back on Tuesday. We're going to take Monday off for a long weekend, right? We need that. But lots going on. And we are going to have a bit of an abbreviated show today because Timmy's not here. And you guys don't want to hear me drone on by myself all day long. So hope you guys can hear me. I want to get into a little Rays pitching analysis that we talked about. Mark Topkin wrote a really interesting article. We talked about this last week about how other teams are catching up with the Rays' very public strategy about getting ahead in the count and how that's kind of affecting what they're doing this year. And the numbers certainly back that up. The college football playoff has been tweaked, thank God. So we have a much better seeding situation than we had last year. So we'll talk a little bit about that. The Panthers are really good. This just in. The stinking, dirty Panthers are really good. And yeah, it's really pissing me off. I hope it is you guys as well. And we'll get at some other things as well. And yes, Jeff Blashill is now the head coach of the Chicago Blackhawks. So welcome in this morning. We want to say a big thank you to all of our sponsors before we take a long weekend off. And we hope you guys have got some good stuff planned and are heading out. Our Riveters obviously going to have a great weekend. So head on over there, stop by for lunch or dinner. If you're going to one of the Rays games this weekend for the Blue Jays, please stop by Riveters. Say hello. Tell them you heard it on the JP Show. Take a picture of the wonderful food you'll be having and post that for us, and we'll repost it for you. Our folks at Italiano Insurance, thank you guys so much for being a huge supporter. 813-877-7799. The Golden Diamond Source has their trade-up value going on. So if you up to $2,500 up till the end of May, you can go trade something in and get $5,000 to buy something new. So check that out as well. OnSiteConstructionFL.com. Our first hour is always presented by them. If you're looking to do some restoration or add on, they're the great folks to call there. Third generation plumbing for all your plumbing and AC needs at Cafe Paradiso. And of course, the Jeeves Law Group, Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Thanks to all of our sponsors. We can't do it without you. You guys, please send them a note, do business with them, and tell them JP sent you. We'd really appreciate that. All right, so let's get into well, you know what? I'm just going to go right to the comments because you guys are so awesome this morning. Good morning to you, Daniel and Nathan Elliott as well. Orlando, are you making a move to Orlando? Are you a trendsetter? Will the Rays be following you? B says, JP, it's all the Central Florida region. The Central Florida region, is that what we are now? Are we Southwest Florida in Tampa Bay? And that's why I always thought that Orlando's Central Florida. Tampa Bay is Southwest Florida, and certainly not South Florida, as our college name would suggest. And Miami, well, all points south of Lake Okeechobee is South Florida. That's the way. I'm a cracker. I was born here, so I get the ability to define all of that. So there you go. Daniel Rivera says, let's remember on Monday, remember those that made the ultimate sacrifice in order for all of us to enjoy the freedoms and stuff we enjoy. 100%, Daniel. As I do every year on Memorial Day and Veterans Day, really. we post the opening scene to Saving Private Ryan, and if you've not seen that, and your kids have not seen it, sit down and watch it with them, because even World War II vets will tell you that that is the most realistic quote reenactment that they've ever seen, and it is bloody, it is gory, it's horrific, and we all need to be reminded of the sacrifice that those men made and so many others as we approach the 250th birth of our nation. And there's been a lot of bloodshed for our freedoms, and we have to always remember that, and always remember those in service now, and always remember that peace is a much better option. And I think that there's one thing that's going in that direction that's really good. Yeah, less wars, more peace. Let's do that. Josh is already in here this morning saying no crying about the Panthers today. I'm not going to cry. I'm going to give them their just desserts, as we've done before. They're still cheating, stinking Panthers, but they're really freaking good. Douglas Batista says, listen to yesterday's recording of the Pat Aaron show. Their topic, would you rather see the Rays in Orlando or out of state? I can't get something better to talk about. Makes me appreciate your show. Those are the two choices, in Orlando or out of state. I mean, obviously, if you're a Rays fan, you want to be able to drive to the games, right? Yeah. But this is, I guess there was some news yesterday with John Morgan said the obvious that we've been saying a lot for a long time now. Yeah, it's not going to be as easy as, we got $1 billion for a stadium. We're moving to Orlando. We have a rich guy that says he's going to buy the team and put in $1.5 billion. Like, so does every other city. So does every other city. Actually, other cities have done more. Portland is actually already has a waterfront design, and passed the funding for the public part of it. So they're way ahead of Orlando in terms of expansion. Other places are way. And if you listen to Orange County Mayor Demings basically saying, and many others have said, look, yeah, if it works and there's a lot of public or private money involved, we'll look at it. But they're not doing backflips about bringing baseball to Orlando, because they know they have a lot more priorities than baseball. And to spend $1 billion on a stadium, there's got to be some return on investment. Unlike the city of St. Petersburg, that was just willing to write a blank check for Stu Sternberg, and that still wasn't enough, as we've learned. Other places are not going to be willing to do that. Other places are not going to be willing to fork out $2.4 billion in public cost to build a baseball stadium like St. Petersburg was ready to do. And they should thank their lucky stars that Stu saved them from that horrible mistake that they were going to make. So, yeah, it's, I know I say this all the time, Brody Brazil videos and Mike Bianchi columns and everybody talking about it on Twitter is not going to bring the Rays from St. Petersburg or Tampa Bay to Orlando. It's going to take public action. It's going to take Major League Baseball allowing Stu Sternberg to speak to the folks in Orlando. Have they allowed that? No, they have not. And John Morgan pointed that out on his interview with WFTV, I believe it is, Greg Warmoth. So, yeah, they have not. And as far as we know, and Chris Lotfula has pointed this out as well, Pinellas County Commissioner, they have not allowed Stu to talk to other folks. So, and that's interesting in and of itself. And why would that be? Because if they were in the book, on stadium procurement and public funding procurement is David Sampson came on this show, and on his show, he does it all the time, the former president of the Marlins, on his podcast, which I highly recommend, by the way, that, when he was president of the Marlins and they were trying to get their stadium done, Major League Baseball basically said, yeah, go visit all these other markets and titillate them and whisper in their ear, or even more publicly, to get leverage to build the stadium in Miami, because they still wanted that market at that time. Now, of course, in my opinion, they built it in the wrong area, bad location, much, basically similar, not similar to the first one, the Hard Rock. Actually, that was a better location, closer to the middle of the market. This one, I think, is a terrible location, and they have the issue of bad location and bad ownership. And if you talk to Marlins fans, as I have, longtime Marlins fans, they'll tell you that people don't go to the games because they don't support management, because management doesn't pay for players. They're not interested in winning. They're just putting out a AAA team and they're getting attendance that equals that, which is similar to what the Rays have done. So yeah, getting supportive ownership is a big part of it. Now, as far as Orlando goes, again, great people over here, no doubt about it. They're well intentioned, but all of this noise does not equal progress. And so, and smart people should know that. If you're going to do a whole show on the Rays moving to Orlando, it's just silly. It's just silly at this point until there's actual movement and in terms of public funding, in terms of talking to the Rays about a sale, which has not been done, getting permission to do so, then there's really nothing to talk about. Even if you do get the permission, there's still a long way to go before that happens. And again, we say this all the time. Why would Major League Baseball want Orlando over Tampa? Tampa is a larger market. It's got almost 30 years of history of building a fan base, and there is a significant fan base here. Not all of them go to the games, obviously, because we've talked about why that attendance issues have been bad location, bad ownership, all of that. All of that can be can be solved if the team is sold to owners that in the Tampa Bay area, which we know who they are, how much money they have, and there's a stadium idea, design, concept figured out. And that is all very much in the works. And just because it's not being done on the front of your television, or there are not columns being written about it, or videos being done about it besides this show, doesn't mean it's not happening. So again, let's calm down. If Major League Baseball is saying they still believe in this market, if Manfred is telling the players that there's a solution in Tampa Bay and telling everybody else that, then in my mind, that's what's number one. Now, does that mean it's definitely going to happen? No, it doesn't, because Stu Sternberg is involved. And if he doesn't want to sell, can they force him to sell? They've already said it publicly that they're going to take their revenue sharing away, which is an unprecedented move. If that doesn't tell you that the other owners are not like, yeah, sure, Stu, move the team and we'll be happy to vote that. No. Manfred knows, Chris Lotfula knows, the city of St. Petersburg knows, the mayor knows that there is a solution of keeping the team in Tampa Bay, and it's going to be on the Tampa side. And at some point, Stu's going to have to realize that he's persona non grata here on both sides of the bay because of the way he's behaved in these negotiations. Don't shed a tear for him. He's not going to, this whole idea that he's the victim here and he's got to pick himself up and dust himself off is ridiculous. Sell the team for your $1.7 billion profit. Give it to some folks who can get the stadium deal done and move on. And that's, again, where I think this is headed. By the way, had a great conversation with Brody Brazil the other day. And, he kind of filled me in on what happened in the Oakland area, because, you hear things, you read things, and it's never as accurate as somebody who's gone through it and lived it like he has. So I wanted to hear from him. And he gave me some great insight into how that whole thing went down. And by the way, the Las Vegas deal is still not done. It's still not done. So Major League Baseball has an ownership issue. That's their problem. They don't have a revenue problem. Their revenues are $12 billion a year and have doubled in the past 10 years as a league, which all that money goes to the players and the owners. They don't have a revenue problem. They have an ownership problem. And they have two teams that can't get stadium deals figured out because you have two really, really bad owners who can't get the job done. And so what they need to do is replace those owners with guys that have deep pockets. And there are people lined up still to buy professional franchises and get it done. And that's their problem right now. And baseball also needs a salary ceiling and it needs a salary floor. It needs a salary cap and a salary floor to make all teams competitive, to have parity. Because there are some fan bases that just know with our ownership groups, Pittsburgh, Marlins, Tampa Bay, Colorado, all these ownership groups that are just like, we can't compete with the Dodgers. Why should I even try? I'm just going to stuff my pockets full of money, take my revenue sharing money, take my central fund money, put a AAA team out there and just say, hey, sorry, not my fault, baseball's fault. And partially that's true. Partially it's true. So baseball has a major issue and they need major changes in the way they do business. But to get them to do that, you have to get the Yankees and the Dodgers and all these teams that have these huge advantages on board. So that's going to be the hard part. So you guys, if you have questions about, by the way, this is a great day for mailbag, so to speak, questions. If you have questions about anything, put them in the comments and I'll address them as best I can as I take care of some housekeeping here along the per. See, normally we have two people doing the show, so it's a lot easier to get this done. I think we are all right. We're going. We're good. So any questions you have, put them in there, and we'll try to do it now. We talked about this last week about the Rays pitching and how it hasn't been as effective this year and has been in decline. And one of the things I talked about last week, I believe it was, and I'm going to get to your questions. This is great stuff. I'm going to be on Brody's show next week, by the way, and I'm going to bring him on my show. So we're not bickering. We're very much in kind of in the same level of where we're at in terms of where our two teams are at, the A's and Rays, in terms of getting stadium deals done. But anyway, I digress. When it comes to the pitching, and we said this last week, it's like the stated goal, like the publicly stated goal, when the pitchers, you hear our starting pitchers talk about it, Taj Bradley and all of them, is, we got to get to strike one. We want to get to strike one and strike two as soon as possible. Well, obviously the other teams are like, they can read and they scout and they know what they're trying to do. So their first pitch swing rate is 35.9% against. So other hitters are like, okay, you want to get to strike one. We know you're going to throw it in the strike zone. We're going to hit it. And they're hitting 338 against first pitches. Wow. 338. And they're hitting 359 in 1-0 counts. So early on, the Rays are trying to be in the strike zone. Other teams know this. And now they've gone from a strikeout rate of 4th in 2023 to 25th this year. How about that? And the last 2 years, obviously, this has not been a winning team. So last year it went to 11th. And this year, the K rate is 25th. So what do the Rays have to do? They have to adjust. And this has been kind of we've talked about this. The Rays have been successful because they've always been a step ahead of the rest of the league in the way they play the game of baseball. Started with Joe Madden. If there's one great thing that Sternberg has brought to this franchise, that's it. They took Moneyball to the next level and kind of, quote, perfected it in terms of making money, but not in terms of winning championships. So when you look at these numbers, and plus you add into the fact that Tropicana Field is a pitcher's park. So what are you going to do? You're going to build your team to be a pitching defense team because it's cheaper because you can get good young pitchers. You trade your older pitchers like David Price and the older pitchers as they get older and more expensive for younger pitchers, Glass now for Pepio. You get the younger, cheaper pitchers, and hopefully you can get some other pieces to stay competitive. So it's a really good strategy in terms of being able to win in the regular season and make a lot of money. And that's what Stu's done. And he's perfected that strategy. But it's not great for the fans because you don't get to have long-term stars that play for you because you trade them off. It's not good in terms of winning championships because you need those elite players to win a World Series, elite hitters, elite pitchers, etc. You can get to the playoffs with the expanded playoff system, but it's hard to win championships. So, and that's where these lower quote payroll teams are going to be. That's why you need to spend more money. That's why you need a new stadium centrally located to get revenues higher so you can keep these players and win a World Series. The Braves are a perfect example of that. They moved the stadium to where their fans are tripled or doubled their attendance and almost tripled their local revenue because the new stadium had more premium seating. And they used that money, actually put it into the team payroll wise, and went and won a World Series. And that's what you hope that the Rays can do with new ownership, new stadium in the market, new revenues back into the team, compete with these other teams. So, and especially if baseball fixes their issues with salary cap and floor, which they should do in the next 5 years if they're smart, and you can, and the Players Association obviously has to agree with that. They have to work together to keep the pool of money as big, but you want to spread that out, right? You want all the teams. It's the players are still going to make the money. They're still the total compensation is going to be the same, but instead of the Dodgers and the Red Sox and the Yankees spending $400-300 million in the Mets, it's going to be more evenly distributed throughout baseball. That's what you want. That's what you want. So in this pitching style and this strategy is now catching up with the Rays to the larger point. And they're not going to be, and you look at where they're at, they're in the middle to bottom third now in starting pitching, and that's always been a strength for them. So once again, it comes back to ownership, right? You got to go figure out another way to get ahead of the market. And Kyle Snyder's a super smart guy. Maybe they'll figure out how to do that. But the number one thing they have to do is adjust. You got to start, like I said last week, you got to stop being in the zone. Oh, and there's another thing that Topkin pointed out in this article as well that I thought is very interesting, is that now umpires are being graded. They're being graded by their strike zones, right? And so what they're doing is tightening their strike zone. They tightened the buffer zone, so to speak, in order to, like, I think before you could miss a strike by 2 inches and you wouldn't get dinged. Now it's down to like 3/4 of an inch. So that means they're going to call a tighter strike zone. So now for hitters, it's even more advantageous. They know that the Rays pitchers have to be even more in the zone. And that leads to better results. And that's why I think they've struck. And then you're in a park that they're 29th in the league in giving up home runs, 29th. So none of those numbers, pitching numbers, are good. And Rays, that's always been a huge part of their success. And with this offense struggling the way it is, it's amazing that they've been able to actually win as many games as they have. So in this park, it's not going to be advantageous, and also it's the way things are trending for them in terms of other teams adjusting to them, not in their favor, which I think is a really, really interesting discussion. All right, I'm going to go back to comments here, and we'll have fun with you guys. I wish I could bring you on and we could do telephone calls here. Okay, I'm going to deal with this one again. Josh, no crying about the Panthers today. Just let me say this. 5-0 last night over Carolina. And Timmy, my usual co-host, texted me last night and it said, man, Carolina sucks. And I'm like, no, they don't. The Panthers are just really good. I said it after the Lightning were ousted in 5. Hey, this is the team that's going to win the Stanley Cup. They're really, really good, and they're dirty, and they're willing to do things that maybe other teams are not in terms of headhunting your chief stars on your opponent, which is what we saw. Stolarz took one to the back of the head. Hagel took one to the back of the head. Cooch was constantly getting cheap shotted. That's what they do. It's what they do. It's part of hockey. They're willing to do more than other teams, and plus, they're really freaking good. And, Carolina is a team that typically gets off a lot of shots. They're completely smothered by this group. I don't think I've ever seen a more physical team that anticipates as well as the Panthers do. They know exactly what the Lightning want to do to get out of their zone, what Carolina wants to do, and they're so aggressive. Their D is constantly pinching, and they do it really, really well. And they spend most of the zone, most of the game in the offensive zone. And they are just really freaking good. So Josh B, as much as I hate to do this, tip of the cap to the Panthers. They're really freaking good. And I don't see anybody beating them. And I hate the fact that they may have back-to-back Stanley Cups. So I don't see Carolina coming back. Could it be the Stars or Edmonton? I don't know. They're just playing too good. By the way, congratulations to Jeff Blashill, who is now the head coach, the former assistant of the Lightning, now the head coach of the Blackhawks. I know a lot of you out there are happy about that, Lightning fans. I'm not going to comment like that. I think Jeff did a great job, but I know a lot of you feel differently. I get it. And obviously, Cooper's done a great job of going out and replacing assistants over the years, so he'll do that. Everybody wants to come work here. And I think it's good. I think it's good for the Lightning. Get some new blood in there. Just it helps to reset everything, I think, and that's good. All right, what else? See what we got here. Sergio says Tampa is West Central Florida. No, it's Southwest Florida. I'm gonna go with Southwest Florida. Central Florida is Orlando, in parts north. That's what I've always thought. Josh said I tried to listen to that this morning. It's like two children talking about high school issues. Yeah, I mean, to the Pat and Aaron show. I love Aaron. He's a great dude. But yeah, the ratings are what they are. They're terrible, and yeah, nobody really listens to that show. And I'm pretty sure the Bucs are not playing on Thanksgiving Eve either. Daniel Rivera says that Brody Brazil just posted a video that the site for baseball or Orlando is up for debate. Exactly. I'm telling you, folks, and I don't mean this in a derogatory way to the folks of Orlando. They're just like they're trying, but they don't have a solid site. They have no public money voted on, or even an appetite for it, as far as I can tell from listening to the politicians in Orlando. So it's a lot. It's a lot of folks that are trying to get baseball, and I think it's ill-fated, but good for them. So JP, you could be Mike Bianchi's sidekick. By the way, great radio show. He does a great job and very good for Central Florida and Orlando, and no one's more tuned in than he is. Really good stuff. So I'd love to go on a show anytime. We've had him on our show. It's been a while, but I'll see if we can get him on. We could have a lively debate about Orlando versus Tampa Bay. It would actually be really, really fun. William Madden says, "Hey JP, with the passing of Jim Irsay, did late Chris Thomas ever forgive the Irsays for moving the Colts?" No. Jim Irsay is a very complicated man. I don't profess to know the man at all. People that do swear by him, talk about his philanthropy and all the great things he's done in Indianapolis. There's a lot of things that happened with that dude. I just don't know the story. I'm not gonna speak ill of the dead. There's a lot of people that speak very, very highly of him, but yeah. And then it wasn't Jim Irsay, it was his dad that moved him. So if I'm not mistaken. Daniel says the sites in the Brody video are near Universal, the airport, and north of Orlando Health near 408. Yeah, again, that's we got our own issues with stadium. I don't want to start talking about Orlando locations. You guys just leave it, man. Y'all get so worked up about, just let them be. Let them be. That's their thing. Rick says, I can't wait to see Brody and JP's new video together on Stu's yacht this week. Maybe Stu will come on Brody's show with me. That would be fun. Yeah. Good morning to you, John Hill, wearing your FanStream Sports hat in Augusta. Have a nice time up there. I thought he was going to play Augusta National, but no, something differently. So, Stu's yacht, the Titanic or the Minnow? Well, both ill-fated boats, by the way. So they both either going to the bottom of the ocean or stranded on a desert island. Either one, you don't want to be on it, right? So I think it's a good question. Sports is now about tourists and gambling, not about local fans and fandom, says B. This is a very interesting topic that I think needs to be developed. And I think sports franchises got to kind of realize this, that the days of loyalty and, generation after generation wanting to spend, gobs and gobs of money to go to these games and season tickets, I think is waning. I really do. I just don't see the appetite for it. I mean, you go through the schools, right, and just look at what jerseys they're wearing. It's not a lot of Bucs jerseys. It's not a lot of Rays jerseys. Not a lot of Lightning jerseys. It's just as many um, LeBron jerseys, KD jerseys, uh, SGA jerseys. It's that young kids now have become fans of players instead of teams. I don't see a lot of local loyalty. I mean, you just go out in public. It's like it's just as many of the other teams. There's a civic pride for teams the way there used to be. What do you guys think? Am I wrong on this? But I do think it's, when to say it's about tourists and gambling, I think it is a lot about gambling. I think it's a ton about, I think a lot of viewership is based on gambling. I think it's why the NFL has been so successful. So I don't see the brand loyalty that we once saw. I don't think that you're going to have waiting. Well, the Packers may be an outlier because there's nothing else to do, right, in Green Bay. But the days of premium seating and paying $30,000 a ticket for a Rays season ticket, which they sold out all of them this year. I think, and but I do think this part of it is this obsession with celebrity and this obsession with in sports and celebrity and Instagram and social media and all that. I think that's part of it. So people want to be at the big events, but a midweek game in August or July is not a quote big event in baseball. To me, baseball is always meant to be a $20 ticket. Back in the day, a $5 ticket. You go, sit in the outfield. Now, if you want premium seats, great. Good for you. You want the great seats, good. But majority, 75% to 80% of your tickets need to be in the $20 range, in my opinion. And then soak people for the beers and whatever they want to buy. That seems to me to be a more acceptable business model in this climate. Getting people, to spend $100 per ticket, which is, I think, what they sold the season tickets for at Steinbrenner, is just not sustainable. It's not sustainable. And people did it this year because they thought that there would, I never thought that there would be an appetite for $100 per game. I never, no way that was going to be. But I think if they play there next year, there's no way they're getting the prices they got this year because the market is already adjusted. And you can go on TickPick, StubHub, or whatever and get 2 seats in the outfield, first row for $12. You can get seats in the second section, lower bowl, behind first or third base dugout for like $25, $30, which is where the market should be. So yeah, I don't necessarily think that I just don't think you're going to see the brand loyalty just moving forward of all sports like you used to see. I think those days are kind of over. I don't know what you guys think about that. JP flirting with Brody Brazil. We're bringing it all together. We all together. He says Tampa Bay not a 3 major sport town anymore, if ever. That may or may not be true. I think just in general, it's going to be tough to support 3 teams in any market the way they used to be supported. I just think expectations are probably going to have to change, especially in this economy. People don't have the money anymore. I mean, they're just trying to, with the, housing prices, especially in Tampa Bay, with housing prices doubling and tripling over the last 10 years, and everything, gas and everything, food, the major things we buy doubling and tripling in price. I mean, anybody who says inflation's 4% is an idiot. Go look at what you spend money on and how much it's gone up in the past 5 years, and it's not 4%. It's way more than that. So disposable income is going to be way down, and that's where buying tickets comes from. So yeah, I don't think that's happening. All right, let's get a break in here, and we'll come back and we'll get some more of your comments in, as my voice is a little waning since it's just me today. So we'll do that, and we'll take a quick break. We're brought to you in our first hour by the great folks at OnsiteConstructionFL.com. That's the website. If you're looking to restore your house, build from the ground up, commercial or residential. You had some work done by other unscrupulous contractors from the hurricane. You need the good work done. they're the folks to call. Jason Fawcett is the owner over there. Give him a call. Just go to the website, onsiteconstructionfl.com, and tell him JP sent you. We'll be back in 3.
Hey, JP here for my concierge medical professional, Chris Lugo, PA. You've heard him on the show for a couple of years where he shares invaluable medical, nutritional, and supplement advice. With Chris, it's like having a medical provider as your best friend. What I love about this concierge service is the convenience and support he offers. I can text or call him 24/7 with any questions or concerns, and he'll promptly call in a prescription if needed. No office visits or copays required. It gives me peace of mind knowing I have someone genuinely invested in my health, not just focused on insurance profits. And the best part, the Bay Area Modern Medical Center's personal concierge service is more affordable than you might think. Don't let insurance companies dictate your health care. Take control of your health and wellness today. Visit BAMMC.com for more information and to schedule your initial free consultation. Empower yourself and take charge of your personal health with BAMMC.com. JP here for the Gold and Diamond Source. You know, we told you about the amazing Diamond Savings Account where your diamond never loses its value. Well, now, through the end of May, the Gold and Diamond Source will double your trade-in value up to $2,500. Just bring in your jewelry to trade and your $2,500 piece turns into $5,000. It's time to upgrade that ring, earrings, whatever. We have gemologists on site to make the deal. Double your trade value up to $2,500. Gets you $5,000 to spend. So go through your jewelry box and get that stuff you never wear and get something new and stylish that you're going to love. Great experience, and we will double your trade-in now till the end of May. We can finance you as well. No interest for 5 years. Only at the Gold and Diamond Source, 3800 Ulmerton Road. Always online at goldanddiamond.com. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group and my man Scott Jeeves, who lives right here and has long been a highly respected member of our community. He's a proud sponsor of the Tampa Riverwalk. Jeeves Law Group is also a proud sponsor of our Grand Central District in St. Pete and has neighborhood events throughout the year. He has an office on Central Avenue in St. Pete and one on South Howard in Tampa. You can't get more local than that. So when you need an attorney, you're going to hire some huge firm that advertises all over the state or the one that supports your favorite sports show. It's the Jeeves Law Group. We're local, we're trusted, and we get results. For personal injury and personal attention, call us for a free case evaluation. That's 8889-JEEVES. That's 8889-JEEVES. Hey, Tampa Bay, it's time to get your AC unit ready for summer. And here at Third Generation Plumbing and Mechanical, we recommend getting ahead of the game, keeping your family cool before the hot summer months with one of our maintenance agreements in the hopes of avoiding the dreaded emergency service call. Our maintenance agreements include, we'll test the electrical components, check and tighten high and low voltage wire connections. We'll check the refrigerant for manufacturer's performance levels, test thermostats, calibrate if needed, clean the evaporator coil and condenser coil, and clear and treat the drain line and drain pans. Just call us at 813-961-8024 for the special rates, and a human will actually answer. 813-961-8024 or go to thirdgenerationplumbing.com.
Let's go! Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show. Just texting with the great Evan Klosky from Channel 10. He will join us next Wednesday. He's been making the rounds as well on some of the Brody Show and others, so we'll do that as we go through next week. I know local sports waning a little bit with the Lightning not being in it and the Rays not being super interesting. So, but they're getting better. I was at the game on Wednesday. Hot day. But being in the sun was not your friend on that day. I don't know how many more day games they have the rest of the year. I think it's only about a half a dozen getaway days. But whew. And then I think during the Metallica weekend, they're going to do like 4:15. I think is one on the Saturday, and then the Sundays at 1:00. So yeah, look out for those. All right, let's get to some more of your comments. This will be fun today since I don't have Timmy with me. Well, you guys can just jump in here and yell at me and insult me. It's always fun. B says the budding romance. Question is, who will be the sidekick? With me and Brody? Why can't we just be equals? HSN site now available in St. Pete by the bridge. That's the spot, 65 acres. Not a bad spot, but again, not the best spot. Not it's better than downtown St. Pete, no doubt. But you think Pinellas County is working with Stu again? No, nope. It's a problem. He doesn't have the money, so you're going to have to pay for the whole stadium. And no, they're not going to do that. Nor should they do that. Let's just be honest. Yes, keep praying, Kenneth. We are as well. Absolutely. Where's Kenneth? Is he in? There we are. I missed him. Just an update. My daughter has gone in for surgery. I will let you know how it went. Thank you all for the prayers. Oh, again, my man. Oh, we're praying for you, brother. We're praying for you, man. Please keep an update. And yeah, man, you're in my heart. You're in my heart. All of the peeps here are praying for you, buddy. Rick says, that's right. The Rays throw out of the strike zone. Runners know they will be thrown out by our catchers. Yeah, no. No. Hey, but at least our catchers can hit. Yeah, can't do that either. What was it? Oh, God, I got a text from an old friend in Tallahassee. I used to work with many years ago, Scott Atwell, a longtime sports guy. I guess he's a Rays fan up in Tallahassee. He just tweeted me out. He goes, can you just please say on your show that the Rays are not a serious franchise if you keep putting Ben Rortvet in the lineup? I'm like, trust me, bro. We've said it many, many times. It's absolutely ridiculous. The guy is just not a major league catcher, has no business being on a major league roster. And the longer you keep him there and the longer you play him, you're just not a serious franchise. I agree. 100%. Muslim Adam Sandler says we need Brody Brazil updates every 15 minutes. I told him that it's now become a bit on our show. So I'm going to ban you people again. Any mention of Brody Brazil, you get banned. Bucs Rays Bolt says Tampa Bay do off season, get back the cup. Yeah, I mean, it's all about the Panthers right now. It's all about figuring out how to beat them. They had to figure out how to beat us, and now we've got to figure out how to beat them. So it's a great rivalry. I think we're two of the top 5 teams in the league. I don't think there's any question about that. Nathan Elliott says Orlando could try and copy Vegas. Corporate sponsors like hotels and resorts. Corporate dollars is what got the Raiders to Vegas. The resorts commit and buy some of the tickets for guests. It could happen to use. I think that's kind of what their model is, but what I'm hearing is there's no appetite for baseball in Las Vegas from the fan base. When I was out there, I talked to the locals. I was it's probably about a year ago, maybe 9 months ago, and I was seeking out the locals, cab drivers, people that have lived there a long time, and getting their thought on it. And I unanimously, and this is all obviously anecdotal, but unanimously they were all like, we're not really interested in baseball. We got a AAA team, and that's about as much as the interest is. They got a beautiful AAA stadium, by the way. Vegas has always had a nice baseball presence in AAA. But it was like the Knights are our local team. Like the local, and remember, Vegas is spectacular, but it's not a very big market. I think it's high 30s. So there's not a ton of locals that live there. And, for football, there's only, 10 games a year or 8 home games a year. You can live with that, but for baseball, just a lot more. All right. Real quickly before we have to go here this morning, Orlando, what else we got here? I fear Ray J is going to take over opposing fans all year. Our home schedule has lots of big fan bases. Yeah, that's a little bit more. Yeah, I would say but that's who we are now, right? That's who we are. Real quickly on yesterday, you saw that college football tweaked their playoff, much needed. Now they're just going to go regular seeding, 1 to 12. And if you look at the brackets last year, it would have been much better, much more competitive. So that's a good thing. Good thing for college football. Interesting that Nick Saban wanted to be on Trump's commission, and then the SEC and the Big Ten got in his ear and said, no, we don't need a commission. We don't want anybody telling us what to do. We control college football right now. We don't need people making these grand plans that's good for everybody else. We want to control everything. So Saban stopped talking about a commission. Isn't it funny how that works? All right, once again, huge thanks to all of our sponsors out there. Riveters, go by this weekend. Tell them JP said hello. Italiano Insurance, the Golden Diamond Source, Onsite Construction, FL.com, thirdgenerationplumbing.com, Cafe Paradiso, Jeeves Law Group, and Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Thank you, guys. We'll be off on Monday, and then we'll be back on Tuesday. If something happens over the weekend that's big, we may do a Monday show or a shorter show, abbreviated show. So thank you guys for jumping in here. Appreciate you as always. Remember what Memorial Day is all about. Try to teach your kids something about that so they will know. So have a great weekend, everybody.